Hey friends, today on Gardening with Creekside, I am going to show you how to trim your annuals here in late summer. We are cranking at the end of July, 1st of August, and I'm going to show you two different ways that you can trim your annuals because this is probably about the time that they're going to need it. And I say that this is loosely based on your personality type. Now, you're like, Jenny, what in the world are you talking about? All right, so I am going to show you two different ways that you can trim your annuals. The first one that I'm going to demonstrate here at the deck boxes on our backyard, our back patio. And so this method is for you people who are kind of like me. So if you believe like in personality tests, that kind of thing, I am the baby of the family. I tend to be a little bit more like carefree, like, yeah, it'll all work out. We're just going to go for it and just get it done, right? So we are going to trim the annuals back here using a hedge trimmer. Yep, a hedge trimmer. I am just going to whack them, fertilize them, and they're going to bounce back. Now, if that freaks you out, then we're going to go over to the nursery and to the water trough, and I'm going to show you how you can very selectively prune your annuals so that it is not quite as dramatic as what I'm about to do. So we are here on our back patio early in the morning. The sun is just starting to touch these plants, and I'm going to try to get this done as fast as I can, hence the hedge trimmer, before we get into the full sun. You were here with me when we planted these boxes, and you can see that they are very vigorous, very well grown, and just huge, and they need to be trimmed back. Because we are in North Carolina, a zone 7B, I have a ton of growing time left for me and these fantastic annuals. Now, we did get a really big rainstorm last night, so they are pushed down and look a little worse for the wear, but you can see, right, we have got some beautiful sun patience that the sun is hitting right now. I have got the pink, new Super Bina pink cashmere. I've got Plum Dandy. I have got Super Tunias in here, both the Mini Vista White and the new Saffron Finch that will be out next year. And I have a begonia. This is the Selenia Yellow Begonia. So what we're going to do, and I am just going to go for it, y'all. You know me. I know that these annuals really, really respond well to being pruned because they are such vigorous growers. They bloom on new growth. We are going to prune them. I am going to set up the camera. I'm going to grab my hedge trimmers, and I am just going to go to town. I am not going to be precise whatsoever. I am just going to give everybody an overall big old haircut. Now, again, this could freak some of you out, and you're like, Jenny, what are you doing? You're killing it. You're ruining it. Oh, dear heavens. I'm going to come back in about 2 to 3 weeks from now, and I'm going to give you an update. I'm going to show you how all of this looks. So we'll compare the two. But don't really freak out, honestly. You do not have to be super specific when you're pruning. We were just at Spring Meadow Nursery last week, and they come through and they have to prune their shrub liners on a regular basis. Otherwise, they would get way out of control and too leggy. Have a video here that I am going to show you of, essentially, it is a hedge trimmer, and it just goes through and trims back all of those sweet little baby bushes, all those little sweet little shrubs, and this is what they do. Not precise whatsoever. Now, yes, they can adjust the height and all of that, but not precise at all. So we're going to set the camera up. I'm going to get the trimmer out, and we are going to give this bed a good old haircut. All right, my friends, so I am ready to get going. I have got my Stihl. This is the battery operated electric trimmer. Love this thing, just used it on the boxwoods the other day. Now, I'm going to tell you a couple of things. I'm going to do my absolute best in filming this so you can see how I do this, but I'm doing it by myself. The sun's coming up, and this is a challenging spot to get those great camera angles. So I'm going to do the absolute best that I can, but just know I am not going to be precise whatsoever. All right, you ready? Here we go. friends. So just like that, I think it took me, it was definitely under 10 minutes that it took me to do that. And ta-da! Now this personally brings me great satisfaction. Some of you, it may stress out. For me, I'm like, yes, got this done in under 10 minutes. The hardest part about this job is going to be cleaning up. So we're going to go through with the rake. I've got my pop-up containers and we're just going to rake everything up. Yes, there will be some still, you know, some debris that I don't get that'll be on top. We'll get that as it shows itself as it dies. But basically, I just did a flat top on everybody, right? I went through about the same height. They're probably, I don't know, 12 inches tall, and then I just went around the edges and cleaned everybody up on the edges. So we're doing a massive cutback. I saw something on Proven Winners has like a page on Facebook where gardeners can go in and post pictures and everything. It's Proven Winners, I think Gorgeous Gardens is what it's called, and it's a group on Facebook. And so a lady just posted last night how she needed to trim her super petunias, but was really scared about it, and her friend told her, whack them back, like what I just did, right before you go on vacation. So that's what the lady did. She cut them really severe back. She went on vacation. They were out of town for 2 weeks, came back, and boom, they were all flushed out and beautiful again. So that's a little tip. If you don't want to look at something, you know, ugly like this, then do it right before you leave and just let it go. All right, so we're gonna get it cleaned up, and then I'm gonna show you how to fertilize. Super, super simple. I clearly did not beat the sun this morning, so we're gonna move with purpose here. All right, essentially we are done. So the next step that we're gonna do is when you trim back, you wanna fertilize. So we're gonna hit it with a 2 punches here. We're gonna go with our, of course, the Proven Winners. This is the time release, continuous release fertilizer. So this is pellets. And what we're going to do is we're just going to be very liberal, and we're just going to shake this down on top of the plants, and they will work their way down into the soil. It's going to be a little bit more challenging to do this when the plants are big, because the the pellets are going to want to stick to the petals and the flowers and the leaves. So you just kind of want to work your best way, you know, down in there so that it goes into contact with the soil. If it stays on the leaves, it could burn them. But this continuous release fertilizer is released by temperature. So here we are, end of July, 1st of August. This is going to be rapid release, right? So, and when I say rapid release, it is still like a slow release. And so it's going to give them good continuous food every time it rains or when the irrigation comes on. So this is a great, just to always have that in your containers, your boxes, the ground. Now, it says on the box, feeds up to 6 months. For us, we have found, because of with our heat and humidity, 3 months. So every 3 months you do this, and it works great. Next, we're going to come back through and go ahead and do the Proven Winners water-soluble fertilizer. This is instant food. So this is instantly going to give all of those plants the nutrition that they need to get on rapid growth and good, beautiful blooms. You want to do this every 7 to 10 days. It has little packets in here and a scoop. So it is 1 scoop per gallon of water. I couldn't find my 5-gallon water bucket. It grew feet and walked off somewhere. So I've got my 2-gallon container. So we will do 2 scoops of the water-soluble fertilizer in here, and then just water, like you just water as normal. So do your continuous release first. That way when you come back with your water-soluble fertilizer, it will help get those pellets off of the leaves. I am not overfeeding. This is not too much. All of these plants are super heavy feeders, and these 2 fertilizers work together. So they are partners, and they will work together. They are not going to burn my plants, I promise. you will be amazed if you're not fertilizing with the difference in your plants when you begin a great fertilizer regimen. So we're gonna get this done because it's getting hot. All right, my friends, so this project is done. It is complete. So you're either thinking, that is genius, I love it, I'm gonna do that, or you are absolutely crazy woman, what in the heck have you just done? You have killed all your plants, you're insane, I will never do that. So it could go either way sometimes, y'all. It is what it is. But here it is, 9 o'clock in the morning. You can see that this area is now full sun. It will continue to be full sun until the sun absolutely goes down. We do have drip irrigation on this, so I don't have to worry about watering it every day. I will just come back because I have pruned it, and I will try to do it every week. So today is Monday, so I will come back next Monday and I will do the exact same thing as far as the fertilization with the water soluble fertilizer. So I think I lost count. I know I did at least 4 containers. I may have done 5. So it was either 8 to 10 gallons of fertilizer water that I put on there. So I will do that again next Monday. The slow release fertilizer, I should be done for the season because 3 months from now, we will be in the fall and these will be done. It's just kind of pointless to do it then. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna bebop on over to the nursery and trim the water trough and prune that. And I'm gonna do it a completely different method, a completely different way. We are gonna be in the full sun, so we are going to just continue to get our sweat on here in North Carolina. Good times. All right, let's move on over there. Okay, my friends, so we've made our way over here to the full sun area of the barn, and you've been with us plenty of times here at the water trough. I did not show the video, like I didn't film planting the water trough this year. I just did it one day when the nursery was open. Love how it has turned out, and it is doing great, but it does need some maintenance on it. So that is what we're gonna do today. So I'm gonna do a completely different style of trimming than what I did at the deck boxes. So basically what we have in here is we have the climbing sweet potato vine, right? This is one plant doing just great. Climbing sweet potato vine. I've got the rockin' fuchsia salvia in here. We have got vermillionaire. I have got the new cherry drop coleus that will be out next year, which is a trailing coleus. I've got some super bells in here. Beautiful white scavola. This is a new introduction for next year, but the container is planted perfectly even on each side. So I'm going to go through each plant by plant, and I'm going to show you how we are going to prune it. It is not going to be as severe as the deck boxes, but you will be able to tell that it has been trimmed. Again, the reason that we trim our annuals is so they get beautiful, tight growth on them, and that they continue to produce flowers all the way up to the very end of the growing season. So for me, this will be definitely like through October. So I want it to look as beautiful and tight and colorful all the way through the season that I possibly can. If I did not prune this at all, then this coleus is going to get super leggy as everything else. Inside, it gets really thin and you don't get foliage down in there. So that's what we're going to do. All right, so I'm going to do my best to set the camera up so that you can see piece by piece how we're going to prune this. So I think what we're going to do, the easiest to get to first is going to be the cherry drop coleus. So that's what we're going to do first. All right, I know you can't see me, and that's okay. I want you to be able to see the plant, right? So here we have the cherry drop coleus. I'm doing my very best Vanna White here. So when you're trimming a coleus, one, you can be, if you want to be precise, what you want to do is you want to come on the stem right above where you have 2 leaves popping up, right? Now, this is very long. It is a trailing coleus, it's supposed to be, but I need it to be a little bit tighter. So what I'm going to do is come in down here and I am going to snip. So I have just cut off this much of the plant. So let's make sure that we can see that, right? That is a good, I would say, probably 12 inches that I just trimmed off. And we're gonna go through and we're gonna find our stems that are exceptionally long, and we're going to prune them back. We're gonna give a good overall haircut to all of these stems. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to come in here, and basically I'm gonna try to put my hands on every single coleus stem that is in here, being much more careful than we were with the hedge trimmers. So yeah, we're just gonna come in here, and once you know that you're gonna cut, you know, above 2 sets of leaves, then that part, it becomes pretty mindless. You can just come in here and prune them pretty easily. Now, yeah, all right, so that's what I'm gonna do. All right, coleus is done. So, and as we prune on other things, we might find, you know, some other little rogue limbs that we need to get in there and do. All right, next, we're gonna hit the salvia. The salvia is not so bad, other than the fact of the other plants were kind of impeding it. And this is one where it is hard to do because I have got a sweet little honeybee and I've got a sweet little bumblebee right here. The salvia is a massive pollinator attractor. What I can do is I have a stalk right here with no blooms. So I'm gonna come in here and they'll be all right. Trust me, there are plenty of other flowers in the garden that they can come enjoy. All right, so I'm gonna set the camera up again. I'm gonna show you really up close how to do this, because I know I have some of you that want to know exactly where the best place to prune it is. So I wanna make sure that I do my best to try to show that to you. All right, so here we go. We got this is what I'm gonna be pruning right here. You see, these sweet little guys could care less, and I'm right here on top of them. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go down, and basically right here, where you see that we have, again, it's those 2 leaves. There will be a pattern to my pruning here. Wherever you have those 2 leaves coming off, you go right there above that on that stem, and then that is where you prune, because what's gonna happen is these 2 leaves right here are gonna become stems. So you're gonna get beautiful branching here, and they're just gonna fill out and get nice and thick. The salvia, I'm not gonna prune severe because, like I said, it is blooming and I got pollinators all over it. We're just gonna kinda get the ones that, like, there's a stem right here. I don't know if you can see the top of that. No leaves on that, no blooms, so we'll trim that for sure. All right, so we're gonna do our salvias. Okay, easy peasy. Next on the list. Brenna thought I was an intruder. It's all right, yes, it's okay. Ever protective of mama. All right, so what we're gonna do next is vermillionaire. Vermillionaire is gonna be very, very much the same as all the other ones. We're gonna find a leaf, 2 leaves, and we're gonna cut above that. It's a little harder to do because their leaves are so tight together. And this, y'all, I cannot tell you how much restraint I am showing, because this is so against what I normally do. So what we're gonna do, let me show you how I would do it, all right? If this were just me and this is how I prune, so I take my vermillionaire, right? You can see it's getting kind of long, right? I gather it up like a ponytail, and I just come in and snip like that, and then off it goes. I don't pay attention to leaves like this. I just go in and whoosh, I just cut it. So, for those of you that want to see it, let me show you exactly again how we're going to do it. All right, so here we have a stem, vermillionaire. We've got 2 leaves right here, come down, prune. There you go. Now, this obviously gives you a much cleaner look, right? It does not look like it has just had a severe haircut. So that is, of course, the benefit of being very precise and methodical with your cuts. So we're just gonna come in here, give everybody a little trim. All right, while we're here, let's just go ahead and do some super bells. Now, super bells, extremely hard to do because their stems are so skinny and they have so many leaves. It is really hard to go above those 2 leaves. If you want to do that, and if you want to spend the time going on a stem and cutting each individual stem right above those 2 leaves, go for it. But that's what you're going to do, the exact same way we've done everything else. I'm sweating to death, I'm hot, I'm impatient, I don't have that. So what I do is, again, I gather it up like a ponytail and just cut, right? Yes, are you cutting off flowers? You absolutely are. This is where we are thinking long term. Sometimes you have to sacrifice something in the short term to get benefits in the long term. So that is what we're gonna do. Go around and just give it a nice trim all the way around the bottom on all the super bells. Do the same thing with your petunias, right? Just get them back and cut some of that legginess off of them. And then when we fertilize, they're gonna flush out and be gorgeous in flowers again. All right, y'all. I'm sitting here having an internal discussion with myself about pruning this salvia, because sometimes what you have to do is, when you have mixed containers like this, you're gonna have plants that have a bit of a different vigor, right? We try our absolute best to plant containers and choose our selections where the plants have the same vigor, right? You don't want to choose something that's a super fast grower with something that is slow, because the fast grower will overtake the slow grower. However, sometimes, even though you say they're vigorous plants, like the sweet potato vine and the salvia and coleus, like all of these I would say have a high vigor, but sometimes they still have more aggressive ones. My internal discussion with myself is that the salvia and the sweet potato vine are taking over everything else a little bit too much, in the fact that the other things cannot get the sun because they're so big. Some of you may be upset with me, but I am going to go ahead and prune back this salvia pretty hard so it tightens up. I know there are pollinators on here, y'all, literally like 5 feet from me. There are a gazillion flowers that they will go to. So we're not harming the pollinators. We're not going to do anything to hurt them. They're just going to go find food elsewhere. So I am going to come back and I am going to prune these pretty good. While I'm in here, as I find my sweet potato vine, y'all, this is seriously, do not fret about sweet potato vine and cutting it in an exact spot, because dear heavens to Betsy, these things are like the most vigorous plants. They do not care where you prune them. So please don't stress yourself out about sweet potato vine. You'll notice that they'll probably give you some little white sap. It's all right. It's a little sticky. I personally don't have any kind of irritant like skin reaction to it. If you have super sensitive skin, you know, put some gloves on, you'll be all right. Just, you know, take care of yourself. You know your body way better than I do. But I've never had issue with sweet potato vine and the sap. I know, little honeybee, you'll be just fine. I promise. Coming in here and prune it. See, so I'm looking at the overall shape, and then I find my coleus right here. So let's just go ahead and trim him back some as well. I love the fact that these plants are intermingling with one another. So that does not concern me whatsoever. I just want to make sure that sun, like we've got this massive long vermillionaire right here. So we're going to go in there and trim that back because he's way out of line on that. And boom. Okay, there we go. All right, see how the difference between these two? This corner opens up. You can actually tell that I have a penta back here. The penta, I'm not gonna worry about at all, because once it gets sun, because it's nice and tight and it's not, quote, out of control. So now the salvia is pruned back and the penta is gonna be able to get more sunlight. However, my sweet little sweet potato vine is coming in and getting a little too aggressive. So we're gonna come in and do a little discipline here and prune it back. Okay, so now we're gonna come over here to this side. Hopefully, my goal in this video is to take any kind of fear away from pruning annuals, because I realize, and I promise I am not trying to make light of folks who maybe you're a beginner gardener or you've gardened for a couple of years, but you have always had a lot of trepidation in coming in here and pruning your annuals. I promise y'all, this is healthy for the plant. It is good for the plant. You're not hurting the plant. You're gonna have a beautiful display of flowers for the end of your growing season. Now, if you do this on a regular basis, as opposed to Jenny, who has, you know, waited until it absolutely needs to be done. If you do this on a regular basis, you're not gonna have to be so severe in your pruning. You can come in here and just do a little trim. Like when I say a little trim, like you're taking like 2 inches off, right? And you'll never know. The deck boxes, yeah, that was major severe. I fully recognize that that was a very aggressive pruning job on that. So if you can come in and prune, you know, every couple of weeks or once a month, then that certainly is going to help your plants stay nice and tight. And then of course, fertilizing. So we're gonna fertilize these as well when we finish pruning, which is almost done. I'm just gonna go ahead and take this Vermilion Air back just a little bit more, so it's a little bit more balanced with the other side. And then sweet potato vine, we got a lot of action going on up here. We're just gonna kind of come in, do a little cut, and yep, there we go. All right, so ta-da! Pruning is done for this container. What I'm gonna do is the exact same thing that I did on the deck boxes. We're gonna shake in some slow release fertilizer. Then I'm gonna mix up water soluble fertilizer, and I think I have a 5-gallon bucket down here. So if I do, I'll probably do, I don't know, I maybe do 1, I may do 2. We'll just see how it goes. Yeah, pretty simple. All right, my sweet friends, so today's project is complete. Now, you did not see me pour the fertilizer water in there. Simple reason, the camera overheated. That's how toasty and warm it is already this morning. Again, it's not like we have high temperatures, it's the humidity and the dew point are just insane. I'm already ready for a shower. It's not even 10 a.m. yet. But project's complete. I feel very good. So get out here early, get those projects done, and then you can go in the AC and enjoy the rest of the day. So what I ended up doing was I went ahead and did 2 5-gallon buckets of fertilizer. Basically, one went on one side, one went on the other. We always get asked questions about this water trough. It is a livestock water trough. No, we did not drill holes in the bottom because in the very back, about 1 inch, 2 inches up, it has a drain hole. So we left that open. So if it does fill up with water, it will drain. But these root systems are really vigorous, so 10 gallons of fertilizer water will do just fine for them. And yes, it is filled completely with potting soil. It is not, there is no fillers at the bottom. That is the secret to having beautiful plants. But you can see, right? I mean, we came in here and yes, we pruned it. Is it as severe and rough looking as the deck boxes? No, it is not. But I am definitely going to be coming back here in 2 to 3 weeks. It'll just depend on honestly the weather and how things go. Like in 2 weeks it could be pouring down rain, or 2 weeks it could be just fine. So I'm going to come back to you and I'm going to give you an update so that you can see how they're doing. Again, the whole purpose of this video is to take any kind of fear out of pruning your annuals, because there's only one exception, one classification of annuals that I would say don't prune like this, and that would be your annual grasses. You don't want to give your annual grasses like a flat top. That will not look well. If anything, I don't even prune annual grasses, so there should be no need to even prune them whatsoever. Is if you have some dead growth in there, you're gonna have to like kind of pull it out like stem by stem. But that would be the only exception that I can think of right off the top of my head where I would say do not prune this in this fashion. Everything else you absolutely can, whether it's a sweet potato vine or sunflowers, coleuses, gomphrena, salvias, petunias, verbenas, superbells. Yeah, I mean, all of that will do, begonias, all of those, impatiens, all of those will respond really well to being pruned. All right, so my day is complete as far as being in the garden. Em and I are off to do some shopping for college. She leaves in less than 3 weeks. Yes, so she moves into her freshman dorm in less than 3 weeks. So that is just kind of crazy. I can't believe I have a child that is going to college, but that's what we're doing today. We're gonna go have mommy daughter kind of afternoon, go get some lunch and have some fun shopping together. Yeah, so in the AC. Woo-wee. All right, my friends, hope y'all have found this fun, informative, and inspirational. If you have found this, helpful, please subscribe. If you're not already subscribed, we would love to have you as part of the Creekside family. As always, we appreciate you. Y'all have a great day. See you in the next video. Bye, friends.